Run, don't walk. Olive and June is having the biggest and only sale of the year. I'm Sarah Gibson-Tuttle, founder of Olive and June, and I have to say, one of my favorite things to do is gift. And gifting Olive and June is the perfect way to share the joy of a salon-quality manicure at home with friends and family. With our systems, tools, and high-quality products, there's no need for the pricey salon visits. And during our sale from November 13th to December 1st, you can get 25% off every product plus surprise gifts. So whether you're stocking up for yourself or giving the gift of beautiful nails, now is the time. So get 25% off every product on our site from November 13th to December 1st. Perfect for gifts, stocking up, or treating yourself. Visit oliveandjune.com/perfectmanny25 for 25% off everything. That's oliveandjune.com/perfectmanny25 for 25% off everything.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. Like, Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
The kettle's boiled, Vic.
Great. Perfect timing. Just a dash of milk for me, please, mate.
Here you go. Shall we get started then?
Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning and said, I'm never drinking again, and then found yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour?
Are you wondering why everyone else can stop at 1 while you head to a dodgy after-party with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a deeper look at your relationship with your reliable social crutch, alcohol.
On each episode, we'll investigate our own dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out if it's possible to stop this deeply ingrained habit before things get too messy.
Yep, we're going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up from a booze coma each weekend with a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health.
Hamish and I are here to delve into what it's like being sober, an unwanted warts and all look into why giving up those cheeky pints or putting down those mummy wines will make you feel happier, help your anxiety and mental health, and turn you into the most sparkly, authentic version of you.
Won't that mean I become boring though, Vic?
Well, Hamish, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone.
I'm Hamish Adams-Cairns.
And this is Sober Awkward. I power hosed the driveway yesterday, Hamish. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit special today.
That made you feel special?
Yeah, I reckon you're only ever as good as your last power hose session.
It's the famous saying goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a hero afterwards. It's so satisfying. It's funny how inane tasks can be so rewarding in sobriety, isn't it? Don't you think?
No, I think you're giving sobriety too much credit there. I think you've just reached an age where doing something like power hosing is about as fun as it gets.
You could be right.
I actually, you know what? I'm the same age. One of my first jobs on the Sunshine Coast involved a lot of power hosing.
Oh, yes.
I found it insanely rewarding. The best one I did was actually a tennis court.
Yeah.
They were going to have a wedding on that tennis court that weekend. They built a marquee around it. And it was like
good.
thick. And the fun thing about doing a tennis court is you can do exactly half, so up to the net. And I had my like a panoramic video of like done and not done.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a makeover, isn't it? It's like you're in charge of a makeover. You just have to do one thing to make something look amazing. Yeah. It's so good.
And it's quite addictive.
Yes.
I really enjoy the repetitive nature of it.
Yes.
And again, this is great.
Hurts your back a bit though. You've got a bit of a bad back. That might be why you've been power hosing too much.
That's it. I think you feel old. Well, I'm saying that you should feel old from enjoying power hosing as much as you can. And I did my back this morning.
Yeah.
It's the oldest thing I've ever felt. Like it popped at the gym.
Yeah.
And then I had to crawl out of the gym.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah. I feel sorry for myself.
I would have booted you while you were down.
I know. I was weak and vulnerable.
Get up, for fuck's sake. What's wrong with you?
I know. It was awful. I got zero sympathy from Liz.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, men and their ailments.
Yeah.
Women don't have much empathy.
We do get a lot of stick, don't we?
Yeah, they're pathetic. That's because all men are pathetic.
We get a lot of stick for man flu. Like,
Yes.
what's man flu? I gave birth to a child.
Yeah, exactly. You have to go through nothing.
I know. except for living with you.
Yeah. We're going to turn this into a really misogynistic podcast.
Is that what today's episode is?
Yeah, like 80s comedians.
Gender inequality on Sober Awkward.
Yeah. Our favourite thing, not. What are we going to talk about, though? I'm hoping it's something side-splittingly hilarious, Hamish.
Get ready for me to disappoint you yet again. This is not a funny episode at all.
Oh, no, we've just done a quite disturbing one.
I know,
I've got another disturbing one.
We could split them up.
Yeah, I think we'll split them up.
True.
Yeah.
We could split
We couldn't have too much sad episodes, can we?
No. So yesterday I was driving to Brisbane listening to a friend of mine's podcast when the topic of trauma came into my mind.
Tropical trauma?
When a tropical trauma. Yeah.
What's tropical trauma? Is that when you're up in Cairns?
Yeah.
All right.
So this is a topic.
It's not supposed to be funny, Hamish.
No, I know.
Stop
making puns.
Oh, imagine if we're going to be really inappropriate throughout and make really hilarious jokes and laugh all the way through, aren't we?
And people will say, "Oh, the funniest episode they ever did was on trauma." Have you heard it?
What a classic that was. So many knob jokes.
So this is a topic that we touched upon during our PTSD episode, and it has come up as a topic in plenty of our interviews. But you've thought of something dirty, haven't you?
No, I just think it's funny that we're laughing and it's just such a really serious episode. It's just maybe we're laughing and it's like, oh yes, we touched upon PTSD. Ha 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 ha. It's stupid.
Get your laughs out of the way during the intro.
Okay, let's get it.
In the main body.
Yeah, you need to lie me on the ground and have me have a zen moment because I might get the giggles.
Okay.
I'm not going to get the giggles, okay?
Please don't.
I won't.
Now that you've said that.
Oh,
it's like when the teacher tells you off and then suddenly everything's funny.
You can't even look them in the eye.
I know. So no, we've never done a full episode on this topic despite it coming up in lots of other episodes.
Do you know how many episodes we've done, Hamish?
I don't actually count them.
It's well over 100. I think it's more like 200, isn't it?
Not quite. Also, our maths is funny because I did count them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it was 10 a series originally and then it was 20 a series and then on. But we've got like Series 4, Episode 0, and then we've got Series 5, Episode 20 comes up twice. It's not a round number.
It's not our forte, is it, doing numbers?
I think we're over 150.
Okay, that's pretty good. Some of the topics are glaringly obvious, but somehow this one has slipped us by. It's something we talk about in every episode almost, Hamish, but we've never really concentrated on it before.
I think the seed of this was first planted when I reread your book, Vic. And as I said at the time, not for me. I'm sure we'll get into it during the episode, but I think you have actually experienced far more trauma than you admit to. As a friend, that's what I thought. On the podcast and as a friend, I didn't know how much trauma you had lived through until I read your book. You seem to play it down a little bit, and the truth is it might be one of the contributing features to you developing a problem with alcohol.
You might just be right there, Hamish, which doesn't happen very often.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's begin with before we get into all my dirty stories, Hamish. Let's begin with the definition of trauma before sharing some of our own experiences and doing a little digging into the link between trauma and over-drinking.
Okay, so psychological trauma is the emotional response to a distressing event. This can occur at any point in an individual's life, and it's incredibly important to note that everyone has a different threshold for these traumatic events. For some, a serious car accident may cause long-term fears, anxiety and distrust associated with vehicles and driving, whereas for others, childhood traumas, including bullying, being molested, and the loss of a close friend or family member may cause long-term problems. But for most of us, something comparatively small and insignificant could also trigger a traumatic response. Nothing is too small or inconsequential, so don't feel as if your trauma is somehow not big enough.
Yeah. A trauma interrupts a person's normal coping ability and delays the processing response that allows individuals to move forward. Shock, denial, anxiety and nausea often accompany an individual's inability to cope. Normally, people start to recover from the event within 6 months, and the traumatic response systems start to fade as individuals work through their emotions. If these effects continue to affect us long-term after the event, this is considered to be PTSD.
Okay, so are we all on the same page?
You're on a different page, but carry on.
Okay, good. I'm constantly in life just on a different page from everyone else.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to explore times in our lives when we've experienced any kind of trauma. So Vic, over to you to take it away. Could you please also categorise them into trauma you've experienced while sober and trauma that was brought on by your own drunken stupidity?
Oh, gosh. I think most of my trauma is not drunken, apart from maybe my arrest for drink driving. I think nearly all the rest of it is sort of circumstantial.
Okay.
right. So my first one was my situation at school when I was about 14. That would be my biggest trauma, even though it sounds inconsequential to most.
For those that haven't heard it, this is when...
It's just had some best friends, and one day I turned up at school and they never ever spoke to me again.
Yes.
For me, when I go to therapy sessions, it always comes back to that. Everything in my life, surprisingly. Because actually, as you say, there are some bigger traumas further down the line, but that's the one that started.
That's the most significant one.
That is the most significant one, absolutely. The tsunami, I really didn't feel like I had experienced trauma until very recently with that. What I saw, I thought was just part of it. It was kind of natural, so therefore it was a natural disaster and this is what happens. I never really thought of the impact that would have on me personally. Because I didn't know anyone that died, it was a few acquaintances that died, but no one really, really close to me died. I felt like I didn't have the right to have trauma.
Right.
That sounds weird, doesn't it? I felt like because no one really close to me passed away, I don't have the right to have emotions about this because everybody else's emotions are more important than mine, which is something that people do a lot.
I also think that tsunami experience of yours had a lot of different factors. So you thought that your boyfriend might have been killed, your business was washed away. The flight there seemed like it's really stuck in your memory, looking around and everyone living a nightmare of going back to Thailand to hopefully find a loved one, or probably not. And also then you said just seeing a lot of dead bodies.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
But what I took from that whole experience was that I was one of the lucky ones. So I had to focus on the positive side of that. My business didn't matter. I had my life and my boyfriend had his life, and it wasn't about anything material anymore. I could take the positive from that, which is why I don't have trauma from it. Most people would say I do, but I don't think I do because I was one of the lucky people. I had my people still with me, and most people didn't. So therefore, I had to walk away going, well, I survived that. I wasn't there, luckily, but my friends survived, and I could restart my life again. I didn't have the right to feel emotion about that situation.
So do you look back at that as a traumatic event that didn't have a traumatic effect on you?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And my therapist might say different, might say that I have underlying trauma with what I saw, because obviously you see a lot of horrible things in such a dramatic disaster zone such as that. But I took away with it I took away from it what I could, which was the feeling of being very, very lucky that everybody I knew was still alive. Yeah. My finger blown off, I think that was a bit of a trauma, but again, I brushed it under the carpet. I was almost raped after my drink was spiked once. Yeah, I just let that go as a funny story, Hamish. Like, that's fucked up.
And your friends stepped in there?
My friends stepped in and saved me that night. Luckily, nothing happened, but it was very, very close. There was the cult, a drug overdose, a violent boyfriend, panic attacks, general PTSD from over drinking. I think there is such a thing as being a massive booze bag all your life and having PTSD when you get sober because of the anxiety that caused and having to do that all the time and playing this role and having this mask on. I think that causes a level of trauma. Being sober causes trauma. Anyway, is that enough? Would you like me to go on?
It's not a good message.
No, but I just think it's something else that we have to work through as sober people, is like, why did we do that? Why did we create this other level of devastation in our lives, and how do we deal with that afterwards? And that's why therapy is so important when you give up drinking. But it is another form of trauma, I believe, drinking in itself. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things there, isn't it? It's a lot of stuff to break down. All stuff that I never took seriously, swept it under the carpet. Another good story at the pub, but eventually it caused me probably to have all of the anxiety that I did that led me to give up drinking. Yeah. What about you?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned therapy, and I wonder if anyone that is listening to this feels the same way that I did about therapy, which is that I feel as if I have not experienced any trauma. I do not suffer from depression or anxiety. So am I the type of person that should go to therapy?
Or deserving of it?
Yeah, I thought, well, this clearly isn't for me. Why would I? What benefit could I have in this? I don't have any deep-seated scars or issues, so I'm sure it'd be a waste of time or a waste of money. But actually going to therapy made me realise that it was not that. Like, I had huge rewards from going to therapy. I think anyone that's in the same shoes as me, give it a go. I did 6 sessions and I got masses out of it.
Great.
So I would encourage anyone to, if you've got the means to. I know you talked about feeling lucky amongst the tsunami devastation. I know how privileged I am that the worst thing that I've ever been through was a relationship breakdown. Really, almost everyone that I love is alive. I've lost grandparents and I've lost godparents, but my really close-knit immediate family are all alive.
It's very weird, isn't it, Hamish, how, like, you saying that to me, you are underplaying that situation.
Yeah.
And I remember being on a podcast a few years ago and telling the guy on the podcast, like, that what had happened to me at school, and kind of going, yeah, this happened, and kind of skimming over it. And he paused me and he said, and I remember him looking at me through the screen, he was an American guy, and he said, let's just stop there, Vic, and just, I feel your trauma, and that was a massive thing that you went through. And I'm going to say the same thing to you now, Hamish. That was relative to you, that breakup. Yeah. It was a massive thing that you went through that can't compare to anyone else's trauma. And that's the problem we have with trauma, is that we compare it to others and we minimise it within ourselves because we don't want to make a big hoo-ha out of it, do we?
Yeah.
But that, for you, that situation probably changed you and probably rattled your life in many, many, many ways. But we underplay it like you're doing now. You're saying, well, everyone's okay and everyone I love is alive, but yet this broke my heart. And I think that's the problem, is we don't talk about these things. If something breaks your heart that's affected your life, it's massive. End of story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I basically didn't know how to deal with it. Heartbroken. I was there. We broke up in April, and I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope at all. I was feeling depressed. I was just feeling everything was pointless, and you feel like you're not enough, and all of those sort of things that people go through during a breakup. And then basically I ran away. I booked a flight to Australia, and I have lived here ever since. Yeah. Which in hindsight turned out to be the best thing ever, because I met Liz and Sunny and everything that came with it. But yeah, that was certainly the lowest I've felt. And for years, I think also with the breakup, people think, firstly, it's only a breakup, you're in your 20s, or, it's not a big deal. Or you think, I should feel better by this date. I remember thinking, by a year, you should be better.
Right,
or in a new relationship, then really that closes the book on the last relationship and you should feel totally fine. Just not the case.
No.
It took me far more than a year. And starting a new relationship doesn't just heal all of the past. That was certainly the lowest that I've felt. I think also, in retrospect, COVID was an interesting one, in that I lost my job. I was working in TV for Big Brother, and that shut down. And we ended up moving in with Liz's dad. And I just spent all day baking, which sort of sounds nice. And at the time...
That's traumatic for anyone else that's going to eat it.
No, that's pretty good. At the time, I remember thinking this is depressing, that I was applying for jobs that I knew I couldn't get. I applied for for jobs at McDonald's, I applied for jobs at Post Office, I applied for jobs that were sort of corporate jobs that were absolutely nothing to do with me, and just didn't hear back from any of them. I spent my days baking or on LinkedIn applying for jobs that I knew I wasn't going to get for weeks. And I pulled out my super, which, if you don't live in Australia, is basically like your pension. We were allowed to pull it out, and I spent it on an apartment that I wasn't living in Bondi.
And yeast.
And mainly yeast. Yeah. And gas for the oven. So in retrospect, that was a pretty weird, dark time. I'm not sure if I go so far as to say traumatic, but I was certainly low for a while. Then from drunken mistakes that I've made, I've talked about the being found shagging in a bush at a wedding and potentially ruining the wedding, or at least affecting the wedding, those getting married. Lying to my parents when I was drunk is something I definitely regret. But I guess the lessons that I have learned from trauma have been mainly from observing other people's trauma. So one of my greatest friends lost his dad, and I spent, within a month of his dad dying, I spent 3 weeks with him and witnessed it like up close, really watching someone grieve. Like I could tell by the look in his eyes when it was sort of all consuming him. I ended up doing a podcast about it, and I interviewed him, and I've learned more about grief and trauma through him and through those weeks immediately after someone's death than probably through anyone else.
Was it a sudden death, his father?
Yeah. He died at Glastonbury. He just had a heart attack.
Oh wow, okay.
He wasn't sick, he wasn't ill.
Awful.
It was complete shock. And I think actually with regards to witnessing death or witnessing grief, I spent a lot of time in Rwanda. It was in Rwanda that I spent those few weeks with them, and I've been back lots of times. And there's very few countries in recent history that have been through what Rwanda went through in 1994. So 1 million people were killed in 100 days, basically, is the stats, roughly 800,000 to 1 million. But and it's
everyone there's young. You go to Rwanda, there's no old people.
Yeah, it's like
All of them
Cambodia.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hardly any old people, and it's noticeable.
And some of them talk about it, some of them don't. You don't really know if you should bring it up or not. But yeah, I've been lucky enough to get close enough to some Rwandans that have told me some stories that you just wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
And I think that country, if you go as a visitor, it's so positive. Like they whether or not it's good or not, they don't seem to talk about it, but like they moved on, they're going into business with people that killed their family members or play sport with people that killed their family members. And there's just this positivity and this like joy in that place.
It's funny, the human condition, how we recover and how communities get together and decide to overcome. Because after the tsunami, I remember I was there for months afterwards, after seeing everything completely destroyed, how people just came together literally the next day. They were working, there was people, handing out food, helping each other. It was like this kind of people coming together and going, we have to overcome. And I think it's the same with personal trauma. It's like you have to pull yourself together to try and overcome this adversity. And I think we're going to talk a bit about how you can do that later on in the podcast. But it's interesting how trauma triggers healing. Isn't it? I think that's a little bit, which is very common in sobriety. It's like the trauma of our drinking and everything that's happened to us, whatever caused our drinking, it's almost a trigger to make us search out how to get better.
Well, I guess that is sort of the crux of this episode, is if you go through a traumatic experience, it's sort of like a crossroads.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you can learn from it and you can really experience it and feel the emotions that come with it and try and work through them. Or you can run away and you can go, this is too much for me and I'm going to drink, or I'm going to do drugs, or I'm not going to talk about it, or I'm going to just try and shut off in a box and not address it. And that's basically where most of the issues of anyone that has an addiction problem seems to have taken that road.
Absolutely. Good point. You're not wrong, Hamish. For once.
That's twice this episode.
Twice this episode.
AI is transforming customer service. It's real and it works. And with Finn, we've built the #1 AI agent for customer service. We're seeing lots of cases where it's solving up to 90% of real queries for real businesses. This includes the real-world complex stuff like issuing a refund or cancelling an order. And we also see it when Finn goes up against competitors. It's top of all the performance benchmarks, top of the G2 leaderboard, and if you're not happy, we'll refund you up to $1 million, which I think says it all. Check it out for yourself at fin.ai.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
So no matter who you are or what you do, eventually you'll be faced with incredibly difficult and challenging situations that might just lead to a traumatic response. Sadly, so many of us who have gone through trauma turn to alcohol and other substances as a coping mechanism.
Do you want to hear my research?
Go on, Em.
Okay, let me warn you, it does make for some pretty tough listening. Firstly, let me say that trauma itself is fairly common. About 1 to 8% of people in the larger population have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD. In mental health settings, as many as 50% of people have it. Now, from a drinking perspective, up to 3/4 of people who survived abuse or violent traumatic events report drinking problems. 3/4.
3/4, bloody hell.
Up to 1/3 of those who survive traumatic accidents, illness or disaster report drinking problems. And according to a compilation of studies published in Alcohol and Alcoholism, researchers explored the connection between childhood trauma and the risk of alcohol abuse. The study showed a positive correlation among childhood traumatic events, affective symptoms including anxiety and alcoholism.
So that could even be parents splitting up or, situations at school. It doesn't have to be the heavy trauma. Of course, that's a lot worse. And the drinking, I wonder, Hamish, if the drinking is worse the more severe the trauma. That's what my question is. Probably, I would say.
I don't think it makes a difference.
Really?
Like I said, your worst traumatic thing was 2 friends of yours not speaking to you anymore.
Yeah, it's quite minor, really, compared to a lot of people.
I don't think the size of the trauma does. I think just trauma is trauma.
Trauma is trauma, yeah. Interesting. In many ways, the trauma and alcohol connection is a two-way two-way street. Trauma increases the risk of alcohol abuse, and alcohol use increases the risk that someone will experience a traumatic event. Crazy, like drink driving, like we talked about last week. Each drink lowers inhibitions further and impairs the senses to increase the likelihood of a person engaging in risky behaviours. This complex relationship can tear lives apart without ever resolving underlying problems.
I don't think you need us to explain to you just why those who are living with trauma turn to alcohol. It's the same reason that anyone pours themselves a glass after a stressful day or at a funeral, to numb your feelings, quieten your mind, and possibly drink yourself into a blackout. We drink to escape reality, to alter our minds and to forget. Remember, alcohol use increases endorphin activity, so drinking following trauma may be used to compensate this endorphin withdrawal and thus avoid the associated emotional distress.
You don't need us to tell you that this doesn't work. Although you might feel a little better for 5 minutes or so, what follows is a whole lot worse. Not facing up to these traumatic feelings and memories face on, not doing the work to overcome them, not allowing yourself to experience them, no matter how awful, is only delaying and enhancing your problems further.
Do you think you ever drank trauma away, Vic?
Yes, I think I did. I realise now I did. I drank away every single one of those traumas that we've mentioned before. I was carrying on drinking because that seemed like the easier option. I labelled my trauma as a side effect of my drinking habit. I was kind of expecting a level of trauma because I always push the limits. So if I'm always out all weekend and not going to sleep for 3 days, I was almost willing to accept the aftermath of that, which was panic attacks. So I had to weigh up the wins and losses a little bit. I knew that if I was going to go hard, I was going to suffer for a while, and I was almost prepared to have that trauma in my body because of the fun that I thought I was having. It's stupid. I underplayed, as I said earlier, a lot of my traumas because I had no idea they were eating away at me or making me act out in certain ways. I compared my trauma to others and decided that I shouldn't moan about it because some people have it much worse. I did that a lot. I found out, Hame, that this is called comparative suffering. But the truth is, no one type of trauma is worse than another. You can even experience the same type of trauma or even the same event as someone else and have a different reaction to it. If something hurts you, it hurts, and your natural emotional reaction is valid. I think that's the most important point to make here, isn't it, today? It can be helpful to think about big T trauma and little t trauma. Basically, no matter how big or small your trauma, it is valid and worthy of support.
I've got 2 questions. So most of your traumatic experiences happened whilst you were drinking.
Yes.
So I think it'd be interesting to compare them to one that you experienced when you were sober. So Freddie almost choking and dying.
Yes.
That you were sober for. That was clearly in anyone's books. This is basically when Vic, on holiday, witnessed what she thought was her, then 3-year-old?
Yeah, dying. Yeah.
How did you deal with that sober?
I didn't deal with it well. I still have trauma that I haven't dealt with that, I think. I think that simmers under my skin very, very close to the surface. I don't think I've done enough work on that to get it out of my system. And I'm a believer in doing work, as in therapy, to heal myself. And it does come up occasionally in therapy, and I do think I need to talk about it more. But in the aftermath of that event, I was travelling in a camper van going into the middle of fucking nowhere in Australia, into the outback. And the further away I got from the hospital, the more traumatised I felt. And in the end, my family were in the camper van and I was in a hotel in my own, feeling anxiety pulsing through my body like it had done in my early 20s. I went straight back into the anxious girl that I was as a massive drinker. It triggered all of my responses, all my trauma responses, because I didn't know how to deal with it in the moment. So actually, I think I drank away that response before.
Yeah.
And that's why people drink after trauma like that. Most people, after seeing their child, thinking their child was dead, would have had probably a glass of wine afterwards and gone, well, thank fuck for that, we're all okay. I had to process it in a matter of 3 weeks, which was very, very hard. But I did deal with it in some way. But I do definitely think I need to do a bit more work on that.
That's really honest answer. You go, look, we're sober, we're not perfect.
No.
You dealt with it better than you would had you been drinking, but you haven't dealt with it perfectly.
But I wouldn't have solved it if I was drinking. That was the problem. I would have drank and I would have gone, oh, well, that was awful. Let's have a drink. Let's forget about it. I would never have solved everything. And I think I would have been in a worse situation than I am now. And I would still be drinking because that would be the answer to my anxiety.
The second question I wanted to ask is, given the fact that you were drinking a lot whilst experiencing traumatic events, do you feel as if since going sober, you've been able to go back and deal with the traumatic events? You know, like when you look back on your friends not speaking to you now, do you feel like you've sort of done the work to get through that you probably didn't do at the time?
I think sobriety brings you a level of forgiveness and understanding and clarity where you are able to look back over past events and understand them a bit better. Throughout my drinking years, I'd have just thought about those girls and gone, well, they were horrible. What mean girls. But now I have a habit of looking at trauma from another angle. I can see the back side of the story. You can go around the situation and see it from another angle and another perspective. Those girls were probably unhappy at home. They both came from broken homes. There was other reasons for them treating me the way that they did. They weren't just horrible people that were being nasty, which is how I would have looked at it before now. I understand that there was other stuff going on. It was no one's fault. And sobriety gives me a certain level of empathy towards trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
I am fucking interesting though, Hamish. Do you think you ever drank trauma away?
I don't think so. Like I said, I had so few traumatic experiences that I can't think of a time when anything got too much from me and I thought, I'll just get hammered.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I remember you on this podcast saying that when that relationship split up for you, that you went on a bender.
I had a few big nights.
Yeah.
I was living at home, so I felt I couldn't go that big.
Yeah.
But I did have a few big nights. Oh yeah, the best story to come out of that was her birthday, when I went hard and I was at Kit Harington's house.
Yes, that's a good one.
Never happens. Yeah. I was at his house, and on the top floor of his house he had a whiteboard, and on it I drew in this big black marker, I love Portia, which is his sister-in-law, was a friend of mine. I love Portia. And then the next morning I got a text from Kit's wife saying, that wasn't a whiteboard marker, that was a permanent marker.
Oh, no.
And the shame that I felt, I remember spending all morning like Googling how to get permanent marker off a whiteboard and like sending her homemade recipes.
That is
of,
so
like,
embarrassing.
Yeah, it was like my only like cool night at someone's house.
That is actually traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to live with a certain level of shame. Like hangovers, I would say it's trauma.
Yeah.
I would say my hangovers were so traumatic. So I was having actually trauma every weekend towards the end of my drinking. And that I do think I have PTSD from that.
Yeah.
So it sounds minor, but those things are massive and you have to deal with the shame. And we just sweep them under the carpet and you just go about that situation and go, oh God, that was a bit embarrassing that I wrote I love you on the board. Whereas actually it's probably still eats away at you a little bit.
But I have a similar thing to you with regards to your best friend. So I think at the time, during the breakup, you're going, how could she? And she dated a school friend of mine, and all of that. And you go, it's just hate, or I don't want to talk to them, or I'm better off without them. And then in time, I sort of make your peace with it. I now look back at that as, a lot of people give you advice when you go through a breakup. It's always bad advice. In my experience, I've got amazing friends, but advice that you give a 20-something-year-old.
Get back out there, mate.
Yeah, just shag anything, mate. Throw yourself into work. All of that is all bollocks for me. But the one thing that somebody did say to me is, unless you've gone through a breakup, or unless you've gone through grief, let's say your best friend goes through the same thing, or your daughter goes through the same thing, or your son goes through the same thing, you're never going to be able to tell them that you know how they feel and help them through it unless you've experienced it yourself. That was like the greatest lesson that I learned. Like now, if any of my friends go through this, I can say to them, there's nothing I can say to make you feel better.
Yeah.
But I know what you're going through. I know exactly how low you're feeling.
Yeah.
And, I'm here for you, or try and help in some way. But if you marry the first person that you fell in love with when you were 12, you really can't help your kid when they get through a breakup. You've got no idea.
It's all a lesson almost, isn't it? Yeah.
So that's been the one good takeaway to come out of that breakup for me.
That's good. That's interesting stuff, actually.
One thing that we can help you with is identifying the warning signs of trauma-related alcohol abuse. Remember, anyone who goes through trauma is far more likely to abuse alcohol, whether or not you were a healthy moderator who could stop after one before the trauma or not. Some signs of trauma-related alcohol abuse include severe mood swings while drinking, the sudden constant desire to escape from life, an increased tolerance after a struggle with trauma, and drinking alone to silence negative thoughts. I'd also add to that, particularly following on from our earlier episode on lying, that if you begin to lie about your consumption, that is a warning sign to be aware of.
I love the term that you used there, Hamish, a healthy moderator.
Yeah. They're out there.
I'm not sure many people listening will resonate with that
They're
one.
not our listeners, but
Just
they
so
are
you know,
out there.
there is no such thing as healthy moderating.
Yeah.
I'll just add that in there for a little side note, Hame. Basically, if your alcohol consumption seems to have taken on a different form, you might want to be careful. If it's not just when you're out at the weekend with friends having a good time, and you're now doing it alone to excess or to the point where you're getting violent or angry, stop and take a moment to reflect and really question why. Of course, alcohol is just one coping mechanism for those that experience trauma will turn to. Many also turn to drugs, food, be it overeating or undereating, as a way of dealing with these emotions. These can also, of course, have catastrophic consequences.
The good news is that whether or not you are listening to this and noticing that you are drinking through your trauma, or if it's reminding you of someone you love, this is fixable. There are plenty of healthier ways that you can deal with a traumatic response, and we are going to list just a few.
Therapy. There you go,
We can't
Hamish.
bang on about that any more than we do, can we? Get some social support. Osher, in that episode I did with him, mentioned picking up the phone before you pick up a drink. I think that's like an AA line.
Yeah.
And that phone call changed his life.
Yeah. Exercise, of course.
Meditation.
Time with animal therapy dogs.
Did I tell you about this article I read the other day about a robotic therapy cat?
Oh, yes.
In an old people's home in the
Yeah.
UK. Has the same effect as a therapy dog.
Yeah.
It like meows and it purrs, and it's particularly good for people with dementia or Alzheimer's. Like a therapy cat makes them feel better.
I'm allergic to cats, though, Hamish.
What about robotic ones?
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, they don't
I could have
piss.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't shed.
No, you'll be fine with it. I'll get you one.
Cognitive behavioural therapy.
You did a bit of that, didn't you?
Yeah, that really worked for me in my very early panic attack days, and I'm still doing a bit of that now.
Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. This is EMDR.
Okay.
Can help you process traumatic memories and reduce emotional stress. I think it's when you're sort of guided through kind of like a blinking exercise.
Right.
I will do this a huge disservice, but effectively, I think when you blink like crazy, maybe this sort of mirrors a traumatic event. It can help you, similar to the breath work.
Yeah.
You know, when you do that Wim Hof style breathing, in out, in out, and out, and out, and out, which is how you breathe during a traumatic experience.
Oh, okay, it
can
takes you
help
back there.
Yeah, it can help you access that place again and then heal it from that place within it.
I do think that inner child work that people talk about a lot, I did a bit of that in therapy, where you go back to the situation that traumatised you. Can be very confronting, of course. Like, it's kind of like exposure, isn't it? Some sort of exposure to your trauma can help you heal from it. But I've done a bit of that and it's always been really, really good. And visualisation was something else I did, which was imagining certain bits of my body that are stressed or feeling trauma and going around my body and identifying the places where I feel the trauma still inside me. Yeah. There's a brilliant book, actually, which I recommend on here, which is The Body Keeps a Score.
Yes.
Who's that by?
I don't know.
Gabor Mate, is
I'm
it?
always hearing about it. I've not yet read it.
Yeah, and it's about how your body remembers trauma and how to, like, exit yourself from that feeling. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff.
The way that you decide to approach your trauma is totally up to you. We can't sit here and pretend to understand what you've been through or are currently living through.
But what we can say with complete certainty is that you are worthy of help, and drinking alcohol will not help you solve your trauma. It wasn't until we both gave up alcohol that we were truly able to look inside and deal with some shit that we'd been putting off and covering up for bloody ever.
Both of us agree that doing that work and growing as a result of it is one of the most rewarding benefits of going sober. We know that completely giving up alcohol might seem impossible to you. We thought that too. So let us instead encourage you to give up for a week or a month or 100 days just to see how you feel.
Yeah, you might be surprised to find out how much you enjoy it, how it gets easier, and how you begin to overcome some of your tougher moments from life without resorting to the bottle. I think, Hame, we often say that phrase on this podcast, it's not about giving up drinking. It's about discovering stuff like this, where your trauma lies within your body. It's not about that drink. It's not about the Fosters or the beer or the wine. It's not about the pub or the nightclub. It's about you. And it's about what is going on in your body, why you're drinking, which is really important to get to the bottom of, and why you're using it to numb out something. And what is that something? Sometimes you might not even know that you have trauma. I didn't think until I stepped into a therapist's office that I had any trauma whatsoever. And it wasn't until I stepped out 6 weeks after or 12 weeks after that I went, fucking hell, I did have loads of stuff going on that I just mowed over and didn't take notice of. And once you take notice, means you can learn, and it means you can grow, and it means you can understand yourself better, which gives you more of a chance of having a long-term, happy, fulfilled, sober life. Yeah.
Such a good point. I like the fact that we've started with pressure cleaning and we're ending with mowing.
Oh,
It's a very garden-based episode. I wanted to end this episode with an F. Scott Fitzgerald quote. Not because I'm an arsehole and did English at uni, but because he drank himself to death, so he's a good person to use as an example.
Yeah, it totally is.
He wrote, "The world only exists in your eyes. You can make it as big or as small as you want."
Yeah.
So that was an interesting point.
That is an interesting point, yeah. Trauma is terrible, and it's unfortunate as humans that we have to experience it, isn't it?
It's unfortunate and inevitable. Everyone will experience trauma. This is going to happen to you at some point, and how you deal with it is something that either you have learnt the hard way, or you can prepare yourself now and go, okay, it's coming. Like for me, it's coming. I'm gonna experience trauma. Everyone's parents die. How am I going to prepare for that? That's the work you can do now.
And whether we can accept that we have certain levels of trauma. I mean, obviously not awful traumas, but some level of trauma can push you forward, and it can turn you into the person that you want to be. It can almost be a message sometimes. Like my panic attacks were my message. My tsunami and my drinking and the horrible boyfriend, all of that stuff, they were messages shouting at me to change. Yeah. And in the end, you have to tune into them. And that's what sobriety is. It's tuning in to your trauma and finding out why you have it.
Well, do you remember there was that test that Mo Gawdat did when he basically asked a survey of thousands of people, if you could go back and undo the worst thing that happened to you in your life, would you do it?
Yeah.
And something like 99% of them said no.
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing.
I am the way I am today because of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even Mo Gawdat, who lost his son.
Yeah.
His son died because of a hospital that he took him to, and the hospital made 4 mistakes during an operation and he died. Even he said, I don't think I'd take it back.
Wow, that's impactful, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, we'll leave you on that. Shall we? Should we leave them on that, Hamish?
Well, we should.
Or should we
leave them with a thought-provoking thing rather than a silly object.
Yeah, or should we just waffle on about something else inane?
No, I think we leave them.
Household chores? Go away and think about that and learn and grow and go and help someone.
So you said grow, and now I'm thinking of erections.
Oh, I was thinking of lawn. I was thinking of grass. Does the word grow really make you think of erections?
I think because I was thinking, don't do an object, don't know an object, and then you've gone grow.
Oh, God, that's sad. Sad state of affairs we live in, Hame. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you're questioning your relationship with booze, you're struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support.
Yeah, just talk to a mate about how you're feeling, contact a local doctor, find an AA or sobriety group. Vic's got one.
Yeah, just head to www.cuppa.community.
Remember, if you're questioning yourself, it might be time to seek support.
Even though this journey can be awkward, it is definitely worth it. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, don't forget to review it, rate it, and share it with your mates.
Do they have to share it with their mates?
Yeah, of course they do. I'm not doing this for nothing, Hamish. Bloody hell.
How do they share it?
I don't know, just write it on the...
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
This holiday, give the gift that says, let's cancel plans and just lounge. MeUndies has dropped their new holiday collection, and it's made for maximum cozy. We're talking soft as snow ultramodal fabric, festive prints, and loungewear so comfy your couch might get jealous. Onesies, hoodies, joggers, even delightfully quirky holiday designs. You're welcome. Knock out all your holiday gifting needs with deals up to 60% off at MeUndies.com/ACAST. Enter promo code ACAST. That's MeUndies.com/ACAST. Code ACAST.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
okay,
good. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his teeny little, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Yeah, go and buy it. Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it. Yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Yeah, buy another one.
Yeah.